Next story I want to read about is from GameIndustry.biz. Ubisoft delays Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine. That's right. So a total of
Everything.
all of their games basically. But on Friday, delay, 4 games total was delayed in one day. I woke up this morning, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's crazy. The article reads, Today Ubisoft announced that it will drastically shift its plans for the remainder of the fiscal year and the next, delaying 3 major titles and adjusting its financial targets for 2019 to 2020 to compensate. The company now expects 2019 to 2020 full year net bookings of approximately 1.4 billion, down from target around 2.2 billion, and operating income between 20 million to 50 million, down from target operating income of 480 million. One of the main reasons for this delay of 3 major titles planned for this year: Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Rainbow Dogs. Watch Dogs Legion. All 3 are now planned for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 in the Q2 to Q3 window, which is July 2020 to December 2020, and will additionally be optimized, quote unquote, for the next generation of consoles in some way. If we just want to pause there for 1 second. So basically, if any of those games, because the release date window is from July to December, if any of those games, I at this stage, unless I start hearing signs and other things that point in a different direction, at this stage, I would put my money on Watch Dogs Legion being releasing very close to the next gen consoles. IMO.
Yeah, probably.
I think if it's not releasing, like, let's say that the next gen consoles are releasing like November-ish, right? I could see Watch Dogs Legion being one of those games that releases like 2-3 weeks before, and then the PS5 and whatever version will be day and date, obviously, of release. I could see that being a thing. It's going to be one of those games, I think, in the long run.
Well, now.
Hey?
I mean, if it's been delayed, then it's definitely going to be.
Yeah, well,
you would think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to drop July.
No.
You wouldn't think.
It'd be a terrible time for it to release. You're going to drop a Watch Dogs game in July? Watch Dogs ain't a July game, you know what I mean? Only thing...
I remember 2 was like November or December, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was like late in that year.
The only thing I'm going to say of this is that Watch Dogs, the first game, was heavily kind of criticized for, like, they were showing off basically the next-gen console version of it before the next-gen consoles were originally revealed at E3, right? And then we didn't know that at the time. We're like, this game looks hectic. This game looks great. And then they're like, well, it's a next-gen game, and we didn't know that time. So it was like, people were like, well, are they lying to us? Because it didn't, not coming to PS3, all this sort of stuff. Now, it does make me wonder if it could end up being one of those games that's like, yeah, on the PS5 version and Project Scarlet version and PC version, you can control all of the characters in the game. On the PS4 version, scale down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's something that may end up happening. Like, scale it down a little bit. We can't handle it.
Yeah, maybe like the systems aren't as thorough as in the PS5 version, but I think you'll still get the full experience. Yeah. It's not like Shadows of Mordor, where they cut out the entire Nemesis system.
The first, that was shocking. The first game that ever got me on a generational gap was when I was a lot younger and I wasn't like in the industry, quote unquote in the industry as I am now, where I keep up with the news and obviously I'm aware of things, was that when I was way younger, I got PS3 was out. PS3 had been out for 6 months towards a year, right? And I picked up Tony Hawk's, I can't remember what it's called. It was whatever one was released like a launch window of PS3. Anyway, one of the main things I wanted to do in that game was like they were like this huge open area and you can do this. You can do like get off your board and like go down. And I picked up the PS2 version and all of the stuff that I was excited about from the trailers, not in the game. Wasn't in the game. I played through the game, got to the end, credits started rolling, and all the stuff I was excited about playing.
This is open world.
Yeah, it wasn't in there. It was just like a kind of sandboxy type thing or whatever. It was like underground game, but it was missing all the stuff I was excited about. So that's whenever I think about getting like fucked on a generational gap, I always think about that because that was a time when I didn't know better. Like the trailers and stuff literally got me. I watched the trailers, I went, this looks cool, and I just brought it on PS2 expecting I'd get the same experience, and I did not know. So yeah, I always fall back on that as a kind of thing. Article continues here. Major release dates, blah blah blah. No, hold on, I missed a part here. 2 other AAA games are various other small titles, including Roller Champions, will also launch next year. Roller Champions, I saw earlier, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but they did tweet out from an official account saying that they're going to start having test things back up from like mid next year and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, they're going to be testing that game for quite some time. I really thought, considering they did that beta thingy at E3 time, that the game would have been out like at least in early access or something like early. But
no, it could go early access. It could just be in beta forever.
Yeah, well, Fortnite is, so what difference does it make?
Yeah.
So Skull and Bones is currently planned for 2021 to 2022 fiscal year, with Ubisoft saying in a conference call today that the game has huge potential to stay for the long term. Yeah, that game's like, well, they delayed it,
Stay in development for the long term.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Beyond Good and Evil 2 has not been given a specific window. I think at this stage we can call Beyond Good and Evil 2 as, well, no, it's going to come. That's a next-gen game. I think at this stage it's very safe to say, obviously. This is the thing as we start approaching next year, right? We're about to enter November. So the more we start talking about games now, I think it gets a lot easier to be like, that's a next-gen game. That's a next-gen game. That's a next-gen game. That one probably will release like March or April or something. You know what I mean? You can kind of pick them. But it's like, are we going to get a random release date for Beyond Good and Evil 2 and it's going to drop in the middle of next year prior to the next-gen consoles? No, I don't think so. I think that's going to be a next-gen game. I think that's an easy call. Another reason for the lowered full-year targets is that Ghost Recon Breakpoint and to the lesser extent Tom Clancy's The Division 2 did not meet sales expectations. Gilmont said that while Breakpoint appeared on track in previews, critical reception and launch sales were, quote, very disappointing. Then he outlined several reasons why the title may have suffered, including the challenge of creating a sequel to a live multiplayer game, players rejecting, quote, changes in formula from one series entry to another, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint not launching with, quote, enough differentiation factors. Though not mentioned by Ubisoft, both Tom Clancy's Division 2 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint launched on Epic Games Store and Uplay on PC as the first 2 major Ubisoft releases to skip Steam in favor of the rival storefront. I would like to say that I don't think any of that has any factor in Breakpoint's unsuccessful launch. I think obviously the game was buggy and problems.
Did Division 2 launch on Epic Games Store?
Yeah.
Like initially?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think it was out that long ago.
Yeah, like start of the year. It was around the.
Oh yeah.
It was like right. It was one of the first. It was one of the first one. Yeah.
Game Awards. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's been a long year.
It's been quite an interesting year. And yeah, so we got delays at the wazoo there, and Ubisoft, I think the interesting thing there is obviously we covered this on Arcade Couch or Plat. I honestly don't remember, but when they Ubisoft put out their original thing, like outlining what games they had coming for the next fiscal year and stuff like that, and there's still 2 AAA titles on their report that are supposed to release somewhat early next year, and I think everyone's making the same sort of assumption, and I think it's a safe one, which is that both of those unnamed AAA games are probably Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, but surely Far Cry, they would have announced it by now if it's going to release like, within the next 6 months. No, remember last year they announced Far Cry whatchamacallit at the Game Awards.
Yeah, but that wasn't like a full title unless they're going to do another spin-off one again.
But still, I think you can just announce Far Cry at the Game Awards or something again. I think you can get. They don't need 6 months of press, hype build up for it. It's like, what is it? It's more Far Cry. All right, the people who like that are going to buy it. Good.
Yeah, that's true.
Move on. Assassin's Creed would be the weirder one because I think that's more of an E3 announce game. You know what I mean? But it's like if they've got 2 unannounced AAA games and they've delayed all these other ones that people are excited for, like Watch Dogs and stuff. It's like what fills the void there? It's very Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. What else? They don't have anything else that we're aware of. AAA, not AA or whatever you want to consider it. Like I think you'd call that
Splinter Cell.
No, they ain't gonna have. You ain't gonna get a Splinter Cell game announced. Imagine that. I mean,
I'm just saying that could be.
It could be a thing, but
AAA.
That would be fucking nuts. No, that would be a weird way to end this generation, kind of. I guess like if they announced a Splinter Cell at like the Game Awards or something, and then it released in like March. It'd be odd, but whatever.